From WREL News and the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, this is your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Thursday, April 30th, 2020. I'm Cliff Baumgardner. Here's the latest from WREL.com. Today, the State House passed a roughly $1.7 billion COVID-19 relief bill on a nearly unanimous vote, setting the stage for negotiations with the Senate, which passed its own bill last night. There are substantial differences between the bills, both on policy and at the bottom lines on money, but lawmakers have said they expect to reach an agreement quickly and send a final bill to Governor Roy Cooper. House Speaker Tim Moore said the two chambers' appropriations chairs would handle negotiations starting this afternoon. Leaders in both chambers have said this is just phase one, and they expect more legislation in the coming months. Both chambers backed various extensions and policy tweaks, including a plethora of changes for K-12 schools, delays on tax due dates, and extensions on driver's licenses and vehicle registration deadlines. There are also bridge loans in both packages for small businesses and funding for hospitals and state university research, though the amounts vary substantially. The House bill includes language that would let restaurants sell up to 2 mixed drinks with takeout and delivery orders to boost revenues at struggling restaurants. That language is not in the Senate version, but may remain in the final bill. Officials said that legislation could surface as early as today, but negotiations may take longer. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Mark Johnson has formed a task force to address how schools will reopen across North Carolina. The school's reopening task force includes political and school leaders and student representatives. Their goal is to, quote, get as many students and teachers back into school buildings as safely as possible this fall, and review and recommend improved options for remote learning, end quote. To do that, the task force will tackle 3 main priorities. 1. Make remote learning more accessible, user-friendly, and practical. 2. Address any learning gap for students who have missed school due to the coronavirus. And finally, 3. Create guidelines for social distancing in classrooms, shared spaces, and during extracurricular activities. Last week, Governor Roy Cooper ordered that all schools in North Carolina would remain closed to in-person education through the remainder of the school year. But there is hope students may be able to safely return to classrooms in the fall. In a letter to Governor Roy Cooper, North Carolina's congressional delegation and local mayors, a group of 40 restaurant owners challenged the governor's phased reopening plan, saying a partial reopening with limited seats for dining could, quote, mean the death of independently owned full-service restaurants. Under Cooper's 3-part plan to get the state back to business, Phase 2 would allow for limited opening of restaurants, bars, gyms, and other businesses, but with safety protocols and reduced capacity. It is that limit that the owners say would make it, quote, impossible to generate enough revenue to survive, end quote. In the letter, the owners ask political leaders to keep restaurants on a takeout and delivery basis until they can operate at full capacity. They worry that limited seating would suppress some business now being generated by pickup and delivery orders. In addition, the letter said a partially open dining room would keep some restaurant employees on the sidelines and would mean less support for local vendors of meat and produce. If the governor sticks to his plan for limited seating, the restaurant owners are hoping additional help in the form of rent or mortgage payments or help with other costs may come. F-15E Strike Eagles from the 4th Fighter Wing at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro will show appreciation and support for Eastern North Carolina medical professionals and first responders during a regional flyover tomorrow. The flyover will begin above New Hanover Regional Medical Center in Wilmington at about 9:45 a.m. and continue past regional hospitals throughout the morning, finishing at Wayne UNC Healthcare in Goldsboro at about 10:23 a.m. Residents will be able to observe the tribute from their own neighborhoods and are asked to practice social distancing guidelines and not gather in groups. People are asked not to travel to hospitals themselves, as this may hinder emergency vehicles from safely traveling to those areas. A full list of the hospitals included in the flyover can be found on our website. This has been your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Thursday, April 30th, 2020. As always, if you like the news and information you get from this show, let us know. Leave a rating and review wherever you listen. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our new episodes. Thanks for listening.